Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Let's go with 6316, 8.8 for 6,000.
Got 6316, North Yelp Road, still maintain 3,000, I'm 1 for the right.
3,000, go 6316.
Redwood 811, still maintain 4,000, airport open the fog, 1.
We take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again. We take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again.
6 runway, Terrafly runway heading, runway 5. Good takeoff.
Check.
And we're ready for takeoff. Sit back, relax. It's time to travel with Cosmic Passport. Spaced Out Weekend presents Elizabeth Anglin's Cosmic Passport. A 1-hour warm-up of news, stories, thoughts, and ideas to captivate your mind. You can follow us at spacedoutradio.com.
Now 20 years have passed us by, and we look back and count the time. Burning like the summer sun, when the world was young. As I lay staring from the ground, and 7 trumpets wait to sound.
And now, here's Our Lady of Flight, Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin.
Good evening, listeners. This is Elizabeth Anglin on Cosmic Passport on Spaced Out Radio Weekend, coming to you before James Tyson and Jenny Jones later on tonight. Hey, we have a great show, 2 great shows coming up for you tonight, and we want to thank you so much for listening to us on spacedoutradio.com. If you are one of our regular listeners, you're probably listening through Spreaker at spacedoutradio.com. You can always find us there. You may also be listening through High Plains Radio Network, a 107.7 out of terrestrial radio out of New Orleans. Thank you guys for listening in. Anybody on TuneIn Radio and any of our many other affiliates, thank you for being here. We do this for you, because I can tell you what, we aren't doing it for my bank account. Nothing's happening. But we do this for you. We like to come on the... Uh-oh, what happened? I heard a voice. Okay. We do this for you, and we are here 7 nights a week. James Tyson and myself on the weekends, Spaced Out Radio Weekend. This is the place. Well, tonight on Cosmic Passport, this is going to be the last in a bit of a series about cleansing and clearing space before you go out to become intuitive, go look at paranormal sites, throw yourself into the deep, dark, murky waters of the paranormal, or even the less murky waters of the paranormal. It's sometimes more the ontological shock that we go through when something happens that's scary than it is the actual astral beings and spirit or ghosts that are out there. The things that go bump in the night are sometimes just things that go bump in the night, and sometimes they're just spirits with unfinished business here on Earth. So, no need to worry. It's just when something confronts your belief system, and we're going to talk about belief systems, when something comes at you from the unknown, something unexpected, a Bigfoot, a gnome, if you're Dave Scott, a dwarf, a ghost who is still intent on working on his property, a fairy, an elf, something else, a Native American spirit, something else from another culture that you don't expect, an alien, many aliens, reptilians. All of these things are an affront to most of our belief systems that we are brought up with at this time on this planet. And so what happens with many of us is we get scared. You know, what are you going to do? When we're confronted with something, we don't know what it is. We don't know if it's real, but if it looks really solid, it appears to be real. We don't know if it means us harm. We don't know what the intentions are. We have two things that come to us first as ideas of what to do. One is run away, the other is fight. And we might go through a series of reactions of self-protection of run away or fight, run away or fight, run away or fight, especially if one is an alien abductee or a contactee and you see an alien standing in front of you and you're also unable to move. You may be fighting in your mind, and then you may be trying to run away. So these things can be, because we don't understand them, terrifying. Does it mean they're evil? No, it just means that we're afraid of the unknown. Because what? Because we're human beings. That's what. So it's called ontological shock. And any and all parts of the paranormal can create it in our systems. And any and all parts of the paranormal can be traumatic for us because we experience ontological shock. What is ontology? It's our worldview. It's something that threatens or challenges our belief system or belief systems to the point of cracking. Now, why am I mentioning this? We all know this. If you're out there, you're a contactee, you're an abductee, you're a Bigfoot experiencer, you're an animal communicator, you know that, you're getting used to dealing with the unknown or dealing with things that are highly unusual or highly weird. Why do we have to talk about belief systems and worldviews? Well, because through the process of trying to understand the paranormal and the unknown, you are, in a sense, throwing yourself off a cliff, so to speak, of your own belief system. And you don't know where you're going to end up after you go through what you go through. Now, maybe you do know. If you do, you're a much more prepossessing person than I ever have been. But most of the time, anybody who is going through looking into their abduction experiences, their alien contact, their other paranormal experiences, is being confronted with a major worldview change and a major set of change to their belief systems. Now, by the same token, belief systems are not actually any good for scientists either. And Eric Markham and I had this conversation on Friday night about belief systems being touted as science, or especially in the paranormal field, opinions becoming science. Like somebody thinks, hey, well, those aliens, they be demons. That's what they are. They're demons. Well, okay, do you have scientific proof of that? Well, do you have scientific proof of a demon? Well, do you even have scientific proof of an alien? The fact of the matter is, we don't know scientifically what anything is, but we may have belief systems about them. I believe aliens are aliens from off the planet because of my experience of them and the wholeness of the nature of my experience with them. But that is my belief based on experience. They could be hiding something from me, and they could be aliens from under the sea. But my belief from my own experience is aliens are they're extraterrestrial. So you don't have to have the same belief. But the fact of the matter is, my opinion is not science. If you get 100 people together who are abductees all saying the same thing, you have the beginnings of a science. Not of a belief, but of a science, because you have data points to say these people experienced something that led them to to come to the conclusion that aliens are extraterrestrial in nature, not terrestrial. So, anyway, getting back to I'm going to stop going global and I'm going to go local to the individual. If you are working on your own ascension process, if you are working on coming to terms with your own experiences or your own intuition or your own mediumship, which has become apparent to you, and you're in a place of fear and you're in a place of disbelief, there are some things to be said about beliefs that come from my very good friend Nathan Main, who was going to come on tonight, but he got sick. So I'm going to say them for him, and I'm going to have him on later on in the month. But this is what he has. He's been doing clearing work for 30 years, and he is the son of a Christian pastor from Oklahoma. And so he was indoctrinated with Christian beliefs his entire childhood. And he had to go through quite some worldview change to become a more active participant with people regarding clearing, ascension, being a light being, being open to the concept of aliens and the paranormal and fairies and that sort of thing, because his whole entire childhood was in the church. But here's what he has to say after having the childhood that he did. And he didn't have mean parents or a mean family. I know his family, so I can attest that there was no trauma there that made him decide to have a different worldview or go through what he did to have a different worldview. Here's what he has to say about beliefs for the individuals. Beliefs are not the way in which divine intelligence functions, yet are the way in which the human ego functions. And I'm going to make a comment on this, because the human ego, I used to be very Buddhist about my thoughts on the human ego. I used to think, oh yeah, right, I need to get over my ego, and then maybe I can become enlightened someday. When I was younger, it was like, yeah, if I can overcome my ego, I'll become enlightened. Now, as I've gotten older, I see the ego as a self-protection. It's a mechanism that wants to, make you feel as if you're okay, that you're getting through the world and what you're doing, you're safe, you're fine, everything's going to be all right. And only when it leads to things like active animosity, war, fighting, jealousy, greed, does the ego become something that is worse than self-protective. But at its base level, a little bit of ego is protective, and having belief that you know what's going on in the world makes you comfortable to be here in the world. But beliefs are not the way in which your divine intelligence functions, and your divine intelligence is that which knows what you have not yet realized it knows. They are the way in which your ego, your terrestrial self that thinks it knows it can get through the day okay, functions. And so you're always, or I'm always, having to deal with the fact that I have to become comfortable with not knowing. And these are some basic tenets of Zen. Bill Cardwell, I'm going to give you some Zen. Zen is basically just keep don't know mind. And that's how you get over ego. You just keep don't know mind. Something appears to you. Do you have a belief about it? Do you have a reaction to it? Do you even know what it is? Is it something that's threatening you? Are you separate from it? All of these thoughts that come from the precursor to the fight or flight, to the protective reaction of the ego, come out of analysis of an object or an event through a set of belief systems and are not very Zen. So if you can keep don't know mind, you just saw a big hairy ape-like thing. What's that? Don't know. What else can I find out about it? That's a really good state to go about both intuitive work and paranormal work and just work on the self. Do you know? Do you know what that person is thinking, actually? You think you know what they're thinking. Do you know what they're planning? No. You don't. So what do you do to find out? Ask them, especially if they're in your presence. If not, find a really, really good psychic. Okay, here's how Nathan puts the first thing that he says. Greetings, fellow spiritual beings. Allow me to share my thoughts with you pertaining to beliefs. Consider that a belief is an opinion with an emotional charge on it, or that a belief is a conviction about something you do not know, and that beliefs are a product of the ego mind. Also consider that aside from believing in a virtue, an idea, or a principle, believing in ourselves, others, or a particular cause, beliefs are not about possibility. Rather, they create a matrix of constructs that energetically disallow possibility. Also consider that beliefs are a virus upon humankind which hinders, stifles, and diminishes our beingness and keeps us from realizing who we truly are. So an example that I can come to, how does this keep us from realizing who we truly are? I never wanted to be an alien abductee, and my belief was that such a thing couldn't happen. And so it was really, really hard for me when I came to find out that I was an abductee and I was being abducted multiple times in the course of a month or even a week. It hindered and stifled and diminished my beingness. It made me, the fact that I had a belief that it couldn't happen or shouldn't happen or wasn't supposed to happen, it diminished my beingness. It started to snuff out my light, and I began to get sick because I kept holding the belief system that this should not be happening. This should not be happening. And I stopped allowing myself to go with the process, to go into the process, and just reacted out of fear and out of judgment and out of feeling it disempowered and feeling out of control. That all came from my pre-existing beliefs. It didn't come from aliens necessarily wanting to do me any harm, not putting me back, leaving me with massive gaping holes in my head, which I was afraid they would. It came from my own beliefs. So this is what else my friend Nathan Main says about beliefs. Beliefs are obstacles that stand in the way of our innate knowing. The more we release our solidified perceptions, programming, and propensities to make assumptions and draw conclusions, as well as our attachments to beliefs, the more our infinite knowing is able to surface, and the more we are able to live in infinite possibility. So, you see something you don't expect to see. Say you see a Bigfoot and it's holding what looks like a giant leg of a steer and it's gnawing on it. The first thing you think is, oh my gosh. What is the first thing you think? Is it, oh my gosh, Bigfoot is carnivorous, is he going to eat me? Or is it, guess he was hungry? Or is it, that's interesting. So there are so many things in the world that you can see that you can take as assumptions. When you see an alien that is basically paralyzing someone, well, they're taking their power away. Well, actually, no, they don't want to get thrown against a wall and get killed, because they've got stuff they have to do, But when you make an assumption, if you make an assumption that they're disempowering people because they're evil, you're not allowing the possibility that there's another reason for paralyzing people. There's another reason for everything that they're doing. What you're doing is jumping to the first conclusion. Only somebody who was human, and remember they're not human, would paralyze somebody. Only somebody who was human and had evil intent would ever take somebody out of their house against their will. Well, they're not human. So all of these things come into play. When you jump to a conclusion, the conclusion is often negative because it's part of your ego mind saying, okay, conclusion reached, I'm either going to fight now or I'm going to flee when I see something that I don't understand. So we analyzed that. We came to a conclusion quickly. What is it? Fight? Flight? What is it? Let's do it. No. really coming to understand what the universe is about and going into the places that we don't know, we have to quiet our minds enough and quiet our attachment to our beliefs and quiet our desire to make assumptions so we can either fight or flee very quickly, and quiet our programming so that we can get over what it is that we don't know and just be with whatever it is that presents something new to us. So I'm going to read it again. Beliefs are obstacles that stand in the way of our innate knowing. The more we release our solidified perceptions, programming, and propensities to make assumptions and draw conclusions, as well as our attachments to beliefs, the more our infinite knowing is able to surface, and the more we are able to live in infinite possibility. And then he says, we are infinite and divine light beings having a human experience. And what he's really talking about is, if you're still going to church or you're a Christian and I'm a reverend, he's talking about the Holy Spirit inside the person. We are divine, infinite light beings. The Spirit is a light being, and we are having a human experience. We come from light and we return to light. In our true light being status, we are free of beliefs. Infinite spirit consciousness is not about beliefs, but it is about infinite possibility. For humankind to live in absolute possibility, to ascend to the fourth, fifth, or higher dimensions of wisdom and understanding, or to even achieve immortality someday, we must first give up our solidified perceptions, conditioned and programmed beliefs, as well as our false virtues of beliefs, period. We must overcome, outgrow, and transcend from our ego mind-generated beliefs. This includes religiosity, before we can ever fully awaken to who we truly are. Consider that you are truly a glorious, magnificent, powerful, and spiritual creator light being. And he's really talking from his perspective, Nathan's perspective of growing up in the church, that he's seen religious teachings and the stamp of ownership on spirituality do more harm than good and create more limitations for people than possibilities. And that's his experience, and he teaches out of that. But there's truth to that. And I perceive that there's truth to that as well. It is easier to allow yourself to be infinite, glorious, magnificent, powerful, something good, and a creator light being when you shed so much of the early part of the Bible, which says, you guys are all children of the devil, you damn devils, and if you break one commandment, you broke them all, and there's nothing you can do, the whole pre-Jesus stuff. It's much easier if you just lump it and say, okay, you know what? That's obviously meant that's obviously there's nothing that's very helpful there that allows us to get through life and to be in a joyous relationship with God and with each other if we're all talking about how evil we all are. And that's Nathan's point here about beliefs. Some of that religiosity has just got to go if we want to ascend. And if we want to overcome our beliefs and beliefs that cause us to have wars and attack each other, etc., etc., etc. All right, so one of the things that came up this week for me was I got to listen to a lot of NPR because my computer broke. My computer has the blue screen of death, and I'm on this little dinky thing, which makes it hard for me to read the Space Travelers chat room, and I think it just died. But I listened to some pretty good and interesting shows on public radio because I don't have a TV. I'm one of these poor loser Netflix people who does massive downloads of shows all at once, like the Green Arrow and the Flash, and I like Heroes, and Westworld, which if you really have an existential crisis, you should watch, because, man, that'll make you see the evil in people and wonder about your own consciousness and the loops that you're in and your belief system about reality. So my computer was dead, and I'm listening to the radio instead. That's my Thanksgiving after, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm going to take a drink. And one of the things, and I also got some Facebook when I got my little dinky computer, and one of the things that I've been reading about is Standing Rock, which is appropriate because it is Thanksgiving, and we have a belief system, at least in the United States, I'm sure not Australia and everywhere else, that Thanksgiving was something that happened between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag, or other tribe in the Wampanoag area of Indians on Cape Cod. Well, I've been to the place where it supposedly happened, and it was a rough kind of life. But some of the things that we've been taught, there was an historian on NPR this week, and she's local in New Mexico, and her name is Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz, and she wrote a book called and I think it's the Indigenous Peoples' History of America, but if you go to her website you can find it, and she was giving a talk on her book in regards to Thanksgiving, but the other part of her talk had to do with how creating demons of people considered to be others was part of empire building and land grabbing by the elite, by the Roman Empire and by the kings and the nobles who were part of the Roman Empire. And it started with the Crusades, where all of a sudden you had the black demon Moor, and it was okay to go and kill them and take their land and take their money because they were the infidel black demon Moor, and you were going to bring all of this stuff back to your ruler and have glory, etc., etc. But the first things before the kings in the Roman Empire went about taking from or declaring war on the Muslims and the Moors, the first things they did, they declared war on their own people. They started to move people off of their own lands, and they started to create laws like in Robin Hood, where you couldn't hunt in the commons. You couldn't hunt for deer, even if your family was starving. And then if you stole to get food, then, you would be conscripted and sent to war. So no matter what you did, you couldn't hunt, you couldn't own land, you couldn't feed yourself, and then if you stole for food, you were going to have to go become a soldier. But if you did become a soldier, the possibilities of chivalry and glory were so great for you that it was worth doing. So it's worth going to kill the demon Moor way in the way back, because you got nothing else to live for. Because what? Because your nobles in the Roman Empire have taken everything you have. And there have been these series of events where people in the country have had everything taken from them, and then they have been used as soldiers against demon others or devil others throughout history. And one of the things that happened in the 15th and 16th centuries was the witch trials, especially in Scotland and Ireland. And these were the people who came over and became the Puritans, and these were the people who came over and were at Thanksgiving Day, or ostensibly the first Thanksgiving Day. But you know what they had been told? That the Indians were people of the devil. And the truth of the matter is, most of the Wampanoag who were on Cape Cod had been killed off by smallpox before the band of pilgrims who were responsible for Thanksgiving, or the Thanksgiving myth, ever got there. So what was left was a very ragtag, disorganized band of people that, if they were feasting with the pilgrims, were probably doing so as slaves or servants, because they didn't have tribes anymore, because almost everybody was dead. So that we have this huge myth of Thanksgiving, and the unfortunate thing is that it goes along with religiosity, and it goes along with landlessness. That these two things, this demonizing religiosity and the creation of landlessness so that people who have more power or more control, who are closer to the organized religion or closer to the monarchy, can do land grabs of demon others or devil others, like the Native Americans. So Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz goes on to say, it was very highly unlikely that the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag were sitting down together for Thanksgiving as equals, which we like to believe in our country in America because we like to think everybody's equals, or we like to think that our country believes this. And she says it's highly unlikely, and that the Native Americans who were there were probably serving in some way or another. So, okay, move forward. As time went on, the Puritans who had the witch trials in Salem, those were the same people who believed that the Indians were devils. But then when they had basically killed off all the Indians, they turned on themselves. So a whole new session of moving people out to the west began, where the demon others were not necessarily Native Americans. They could be Irish. They would be one of the quote-unquote lower classes, and they would be, their land would be grabbed in Ireland, and then their only way of getting out of a situation of starvation and inability to care for themselves was to go to the New World and to be in servitude and then be promised land after that servitude was over, and so on and so forth until today, where what we have is no more room to do land grabs, and we've got people standing up at Standing Rock going, no, you can't put your pipeline across our water source. We aren't going to stand for that. We're going to stand against it. So it's an interesting situation to be very Anglo, although I've been told there's some Native in me. It's an interesting situation to be very Anglo and very grateful for the people at Standing Rock who are saying, wait, there's just no more land to grab. There's no more stuff you can take. So take your pipeline and take it back. It's interesting. And one of the neat things I'm grateful for is that a ton of veterans have gotten together and they're going to go out to Standing Rock and they're raising money for it and sending people out because it's going to get difficult. The winters up there are cold, and they have had people spraying things, either spraying water or spraying something else on them from aircraft overnight. So who knows what's going on there. But it's a very ironic tale because it's still happening. It's still Thanksgiving. And there are still, finally, Native Americans, the ones that are still here, are standing up. And also regular Anglos and everybody else who feels that they are just in their cause are standing up and saying, yeah, take your pipeline and take it back. So that's my little Thanksgiving tale. Oh, and the other thing I got to hear, which I know is totally random, was that they sent a photon back in time. So basically you can time travel. That you can both, they both sent a photon back in time, and they also were able to, Scotty beam me up a photon. You know what that is. I can't think of the word. But the interesting thing about the sending the photon back in time experiment that they did was the photon that they sent back in time immediately tried to kill its previous self and was unable to. So if you ever get sent back in time, apparently it's really hard to kill yourself in your previous state. At least it is if you're a photon. So that's good news for some of us who feel we're time travelers. You can't kill yourself, or you can't if you're a photon. I hear James in the background. Can you guys hear James? No. Oh, they can't. Okay. Well, that being said, I'm going to move on to some thank yous. This is a good way to clear your space, is to do is to thank Spirit for stuff. And if you're Christian, we're talking the Holy Spirit. If you're Native American, we're talking Creator. This morning, one of the things that happened to me after hearing that photons that get sent back in time can't kill themselves in their previous time frame, woohoo, was the next show that came on was this lovely Native American man giving thanks to Creator for everything. And he went on for 10 minutes giving thanks to Creator for everything. And I was driving back from seeing my horse, listening to him give thanks to Creator for everything. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I like this. My truck is really, really clear right now because Creator has been given thanks for everything. So if your space is getting gunky, and you're feeling like you're getting gunky and you're unhappy and you're just not happy with what's going on, be conscious of what your mind is doing and think about everything that you can possibly be grateful for and give thanks to Spirit or give thanks to Creator for that. So here are some thank yous that will really help, or here's just a little snippet of how to do that, how to be thankful in a way that clears your space. You ready? Here we go. Spirit, thank you for everything I experience and enjoy today and every day. Thank you, Spirit, for the infinite blessings that come my way every day. I am so very grateful and elated for the countless blessings that occur for me throughout my life and experience. Everything is perfect in divine, Spirit. Everything is perfect and divine. Yes, everything is perfect and divine within itself. I am so grateful, Spirit, for the divine guidance, inspiration, assistance, and blessings I receive today in support of fulfilling all of my desires, dreams, creations, obligations, and responsibilities. I am so grateful, Spirit, for the divine guidance, inspiration, assistance, and blessings I receive daily that so perfectly empowers me to meet and fulfill all of my financial obligations, responsibilities, needs, and desires with ease and joy and glory. So when you're feeling gunky, when you feel like you've been attacked, when you feel like there might be something in your space, think about the most expansive way you can be grateful and write down your thanks to God, Creator, Spirit, Infinite Being, however you want to see the divine. Write down your thanks and sing it out. Sing how grateful you are. That is the number one. Thanksgiving is the number one most clearing thing you can do for your space. It's when you're ungrateful that all sorts of bad things happen. And I was going to tell the story of some fairies, and I kind of lost the thread here because there's all these fairy stories about what happens to ungrateful people, that they meet fairies and the fairies do bad things to them if they're ungrateful. But I'll just get back to it. I'll get back to what the thread was for me and how the fairies came into this after the Native Americans and the photons who can't kill themselves in a different time frame. So when I first met Nathan, I went to one of his group clearings, and it was held at our house in the mountains of Sandia Park on the east side of Sandia Mountain. And it was a beautiful place with lots of beautiful oak trees around it. And I had been having trouble for about 3 months with things of mine going missing and then being put back in different places. And one of the things that was so incredibly obvious was my handmade bowstring. I had a handmade longbow that I was shooting in the Society for Creative Anachronism, and a handmade bowstring that was really cool. It was made out of sinew. And this bowstring, I couldn't shoot because I didn't have a bowstring, and I was looking everywhere for it. And one night I get home from work, and it's getting close to the weekend, and I really want to go shoot. And I'm kind of upset because I don't have a bowstring, and I'm, thinking to myself, gosh, I guess I have to get another bow. Dang it. The next morning I go out to my truck, and right in front of the driver's side door is my bowstring put very neatly in a straight line in front of the door so that I can't help but see it when I open the door. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's my bowstring. And somebody set it there purposely in a completely strung out, nice, neat line. And so I was like, okay, that is just too unbelievably weird. And then the rest of the next couple of months, I would lose a wonderful citrine crystal and it would come back. I would lose a moldavite necklace and it would come back. And finally, I was working part-time at a metaphysical shop, and I didn't believe in fairies. I thought that fairies were, cool for Tolkien, elves and fairies and all that, but I'd never seen one. And a friend of mine who is a very, very good reader said, "Oh, fairy, you have a fairy who likes you." So she goes, "Go home and ask him to present himself." So, being very skeptical, I went home and I asked the fairy who had stolen my bowstring and put it back, or borrowed it, because he wanted to check it out, to come and present himself. And all of a sudden, in my mind's eye, I can't see him physically, and this gets to be like Bigfoot, but in my mind's eye comes this very tall, dark-haired, he was very pale-skinned, but dark-haired, very tall, skinny, mountain elf or mountain fairy. He was probably 6'4", dressed in a nice fairy brown, and he comes up to the front door looking all abashed and kind of kicking his feet, and he was like, "Yeah, it was me. Yeah, I did it." He's like, "Why don't you have a boyfriend?" And I had just actually broken up with my boyfriend who was a bowmaster. So that's another long story. Like my boyfriend was like actually a fairy dream in reality. But he was like, "Why don't you have a boyfriend?" And I'm like, "Well, I just don't right now." And he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Well, you're kind of cool." And he's being kind of shy. So I'm having this mental conversation with this tall, dark fairy who I never believed in until that moment. So the next time we had a fairy incident was when Nathan did a group clearing at the house, and he invited people over to be part of the clearing. And just after we started, I heard voices out of my left ear, and I looked at the window to my left, and I could see in my mind's eye a red-haired fairy woman, a blonde-haired fairy man, and my dark-haired fairy friend standing behind them. And the woman was asking, "What are you doing?" And I'm thinking back at her, "We're doing a group clearing." "What's that?" "Well, it clears your energy field of anything negative." "Oh, can we do that? Can we be here?" And they're standing outside the window, and I'm like, "Yeah, you can be here." And then I notice that they're shuffling from foot to foot. So I get up in the middle of the clearing as Nathan is talking, and I open the door, and I go to the kitchen, and I get some chairs, and I put 3 chairs down. So I basically let them in the door and let them sit in the chairs, and I'm the crazy woman who has, like, the fairies coming in the house that nobody else can see. And Nathan's just like, "Oh, no, that's fine. I knew somebody was out there at the end of the situation." But that is paranormal for you. Once you start going down the rabbit hole can get really, really interesting really, really fast. And lots of beings like to be cleared. You don't have to be, clearings are just for human beings. You don't have to have blessings or prayers just be for human beings. You can clear animals, you can clear fairies, you can clear whatever beings are in an area. It's a nice idea to let the beings of an area know what you're going to do if you're going to be doing any heavy-duty spiritual work or clearing work in an area. And there's actually a passage in the Tibetan Buddhist Mahavairakana Sutra, which was just translated about 10 years ago, and it's a nice big purple book that cost an arm and a leg to buy, but it is the original tantric Tibetan Buddhist text. And tantric it doesn't mean sex, it means spirit in the physical world. And they tell practitioners who are doing clearing work, because that's generally what tantric practitioners do, is clearing work. They tell them, if you're going to go out into a forest area, talk to the spirits of the forest and tell them what you intend to do and ask them if they are comfortable with that before you begin, because they can make trouble for you. So imagine you've got this Buddhist guy, back 1,500 years ago, going out to do his clearing work, and, he's been taught that he's got to ask the fairies for their permission to do his work, or the devas or whoever else is out there, the spirits of the land, basically, because he doesn't want to, basically make them uncomfortable by doing too high-level spiritual work that could be painful for them. And it actually says in the sutras that it can be painful for lighter-bodied folks, depending on how strong a practice you are doing. So, if you decide that clearing work is your thing and you want to go out into the mountains or the wilderness, think about who might be around in the astral plane and, tell them what you're up to. That is the Tibetan Buddhist way. At least that's what's in the Mahavajrayana Sutra to practitioners when they go out. So anyway, speaking of fairies, if you ever get invited to a fairy folk festival by actual fairy folk, apparently in all the fairy tales or the origin stories, don't be greedy. They don't like greedy people. people who are greedy, like fairies can be good, or they can do you well, or they can do you ill. If you're a greedy person, they'll usually take away what you have, and if you're a non-greedy person, they'll usually try to give you benefits, especially benefits that you will use for the good or the good of all. Anyway, I got 2 origin stories of the hidden people, and one of them is really a lot like my ferryman, and who I'll call Daniel because that's his name. But there are 2 origin stories of the hidden people. These are and these are from Iceland. I'm going to start. I'm not sure if we're running out of time, so I'm going to start with the second, which reminds me of Daniel. Okay, this is from Iceland, and I am not boycotting Iceland. I really want to go there because they have put their fairy lore into law and not built a road through fairyland. So here's one of the stories. A traveler once lost his way and knew not whither to turn or what to do. At last, after wandering about for some time, he came to a hut which he had never seen before, and on his knocking at the door, an old woman opened it and invited him to come in, which he gladly did. Inside, the house seemed to be a clean and good one, and the old woman led him to the warmest room, where there were sitting 2 young and beautiful girls. Besides these, no one else was in the house. He was very well received and kindly treated, and having eaten a good supper was shown to bed. He asked whether one of the girls might stay with him as his companion for the night, and his request was granted. And now wishing to kiss her, the traveler turned towards her and placed his hand upon her, but his head sank through her, as if she had been of mist, and though he could well see her lying beside him, he could grasp nothing but the air. So he asked what this all meant, and she said, "Be not astonished, for I am a spirit." And when the devil, in times gone by, made war in heaven, he, with all his armies, was driven into outer darkness, and those who turned their eyes to look after him as he fell were also driven out of heaven. But those who were neither for nor against him were sent to the earth and commanded to dwell there in the rocks and the mountains. These are called elves and hidden people. They can live in company with none but their own race. They can do either good or evil, which they will. But what they do thoroughly. They have no bodies as you other mortals, but they can take a human form and be seen among men when they wish. I am one of these fallen spirits, and so you can never hope to embrace me. And to this fate the traveler yielded himself and has handed down to us the story. It's so sad. So, I know. You can't fall in love with fairies because you can't touch them.
Hey, hold on a second. You had the nice fairy showing up. he has maybe a sister that I can. Actually, I don't trust them. I have read that famous fairy book, and they can be very jealous. Yes, very jealous because she tried to kill Wendy. Because Peter Pan
that's in the
Wendy.
Peter Pan book. Well, no, I mean some people will paint them with a darker brush, but Daniel, when I moved back to New Mexico, I got in touch with him, and he's got a girlfriend, so he's not very jealous, and he's also more attached to the mountain. So I'm not near that mountain, not near enough.
Not near enough to the mountain, and can't compete with the.
He's got a girlfriend.
Well. Is it like a school teacher from the area, or somebody else he followed home?
It's another fairy chick. It's one of his kind. It's a fairy chick.
Yeah. So I guess they can't intermingle, so to speak, can they?
If you are intuitive, you can, and you don't go around telling the wrong sorts of people, which the wrong sorts of people are not listening to Spaced Out Radio and are not coming with a little white van, so I'm not worried, but,
Maybe.
But if you're in, they can like I said, they came to the clearing. They were to me, they were obviously there. And, you can have conversations, and they will physicalize enough to take your stuff.
Okay, I don't think you quite understand the term intermingle. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
No, they cannot do that thing.
Why?
No. I don't know, but that did not happen.
Would they get smoted?
I think it's just not. I think it's maybe Daniel was chivalrous, and he was like, "Well, we're not going to go there if there's not anything that can long term come out of that." Yeah. But no, I don't think so.
Just checking.
You can kind of like have conversations and stuff, and be a bit smitten, but I don't think he can go all the way.
Okay.
Maybe somebody else has. I don't know, but in my experience, it didn't happen. Maybe somebody else it has.
Okay, because I was just wondering if they could be really like creepy and like stand across the street and stare at you, going, "Okay, you can go now." You're just
well. No, not exactly. No.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Well, it's been an interesting weekend for me, so you know where mine's going. My mind is drifting off into the sexual activities of fairies.
Fairy chicks.
Wow. Oh, do you always have those wings wrapped around? Oh, my God.
No, he didn't have any wings, and the mountain fairies didn't have any wings.
No?
They looked like people. No. They looked like people.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so would those be what we would call the... Oh, I lost the name of it. I was going to say the environmentals. Water, fire, elementals.
No, they're elven / fairies.
Okay.
They're not divas, not elementals, but he was attached to that particular area of the mountain. He doesn't tend to range very far away from that particular spot. So there's some attachment to the area. I don't think that makes him an elemental. I think there may be something else going on there with that.
How long has that group of beings were sharing the same dirt we are?
I don't have them online. I didn't ask, and I thought it was a bit odd, and I'm not sure if the Native Americans of this area have fairy stories like they do in the East. But in the East, they have fairy stories. So,
what do they call them in the East? Fairies, or?
Oh, I did it. No, they call them a different name. I did a show on it, and I can't remember the name. But it was very common in the Cherokee that people in Tennessee would be invited into the fairy town. Like if you had wandered away, or you were just kind of dreamily, walking in the woods, you would be invited to somebody's house and meet their family and have dinner. And then you would find out they were fairy folk.
Oh.
And
What would you eat? What would a fairy folk eat?
Well, they would feed them regular food. Huh. They would treat them like a community that they didn't know was there, and treat them well. And then the next day,
they would go out. Okay, so the fairy is walking into this community. No, this is a fairy community, right?
It would be the person like you or I. Say we dreamily go off into the woods,
find this place,
not being very serious about it, and
talk fast.
All of a sudden, we get approached by somebody very friendly who says, "Would you like to come to to dinner at our house? It's just up here." And then you get to the house, and it's a whole community, and they're all celebrating the fact that you've arrived. Yay. And then the next day you get sent away. Yay. And they say, "You'll have to come back again." Yeah.
Yay. Whoa! Thanks for showing up. It's kind of. I'm wondering, like, the fairies go out and knock a moose on the head, pull some veggies. There you go. We've killed a large animal for you.
It wasn't in the references that I was reading. It was just that, it was just that there would be something odd about them, and the Cherokee would know, wait a minute, these are not Cherokees, these are those other people.
Those other people. Okay, Elizabeth.
Yes?
Say goodnight, Elizabeth.
Good night, Elizabeth. Oh, I mean, good night, Spaced Out Radio listeners. Thank you for listening to me this evening.
If I had to get a hold of you and look at a website, where would I go?
ElizabethAnglin.com.
Oh, look at you with the .com thing going on. All right, Elizabeth. I want to thank you very much, and we will talk to you on Saturday.
Okay, we'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, News Director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners, for only $5 a month you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. stories so weird that we'll leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
It's time to go live on Spaced Out Weekend.
13, please. Oh, hi, Kevin. Oh, is that the time? Kevin, my friend, don't you find that watch just a little bit loud? Well, I certainly hope our buddy Bumblefoot is playing when we get there. Oh, you stinky big bundle of hair. I said Bumblefoot, not Bigfoot. Oh, it's going to be a long night.
It's time to head to the 13th floor of the old log cabin for Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson. You can tweet James at James Tyson SOR. You can find him on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, as well as on Facebook. On YouTube, our channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can check out our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere. Watch it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, perched high in his captain's chair, way above the clouds, here's James Tyson.
Thank you, Dave. Welcome back, everybody. This is me, James Tyson. I am broadcasting to you from my little log cabin on the 13th floor of the Spaced Out Radio Network here in the paranormal portals of the lower left Canadian coast. Way up here, or down here, depending if you're Cog in Alaska, or someone in South America, or even our friends down under. I am on the west coast of Canada, the Pacific Northwest, sometimes called Cascadia. And here at Spaced Out Radio, we do broadcast 7 days a week. You'll hear Dave, that other guy, Dave Scott, Monday to Friday. You've got me on the weekend. We want to be your one-stop shop when it comes to the supernatural, paranormal, conspiracy, UFO, spiritual, and much more. Music provided by Ron Bumblefoot Thal, formerly of Guns N' Roses, is the man, and he is the official sound of Spaced Out Radio. Also, you can track me on Twitter at James Tyson SOR, or track me down also on Instagram, James. Actually, Instagram I think is Spaced Out Weekend. I never really write myself on Instagram. Come find me on Facebook, James Tyson, or Spaced Out Weekend, and drop in and say hi. I really appreciate when you do post a little note on either the Spaced Out Weekend Facebook page or my Facebook page. You can listen to our shows. You can download them or listen live on iTunes. Or go to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and listen to it there. You can find us on TuneIn, which is really cool because I don't even know where that is. Or if you subscribe to YouTube, these shows will be downloaded tomorrow. And at this time, we'd like to say hello to everybody taking part in our chat rooms in the Spaced Out Radio chat room on Spreaker, or those people on Facebook at UFO or UFO Chronicles and Chronicles of the Unknown, Forest Moon Paranormal, and here in our flagship chat room at SOR Space Travelers Club. Now, if you go SOR Space Travelers, not really the club, but SOR Space Travelers, and you find that, just search it on Facebook, want to join, request it, and somebody will let you in. It's an easy chat room to get to. Now, while you're listening to us and you've dug around some stuff, I want you to remember and remind you, if you would like, please sign up to the SOR Space Travelers Club. It's $5 a month, and with that, your name gets entered into monthly prize draws, and my gosh, if we don't start giving this stuff away, we'll have monthly prize draws for the next 10 years. Your name gets entered into these. Also, you get access to private group interviews. That is you interviewing one-on-one with a guest of your choice. We'll just call the guest up, set you down, and you can have a talk with them. You get access to special section on our website and a ton more, giving you a heck of a lot more than other stations do, and just the archives. While at spacedoutradio.com, you can read our latest blogs and check out the Eric Markham SOR Space Wire for the latest in weird stuff. We also have a new feature on the website. The SOR Sightlines is there for you. If you had an experience, any kind of experience that, whether it's spiritual and you have questions about it, or you think you've seen a Bigfoot or a UFO and want it looked into or investigated by our researcher Mike Smith, just fill out the Sightlines report and we'll get back to you. All information is 100% confidential. And, of course, we want to thank our new affiliate, the United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and their listeners from over 160 countries around the world, and whoever else is listening out in space. Tonight, I've got a really special guest all the way from a lovely little island in the South Pacific. Actually, pretty good size. Maybe the largest island group in the ocean, our Pacific Ocean. That isn't a continent. From New Zealand, we are so pleased to have with us Virginia Ginny Jones. Now, Ginny's a Reiki master, teacher, medical intuitive, transformation life coach, hypnoabundance practitioner, visionary, and quantum traveler. Known as Ginny, she works in the intuitive educational field nationally and internationally. She works with the deepest integrity to assist people through difficult times. Her compassionate empathy uplifts humanity and directs people towards the way to work through life's challenges, in which she sees confidence, courage, strength, and joy return. As she works with people, she whispers to your soul the essence of who you are, the truest expression of you. This is fascinating to me, and this is one of the reasons I got her on here. She's a soul communicator. She sees each person's vibrations and taps into this uniqueness as she sees everyone in a uniquely made of glyphs and codes. This is fascinating. Her intuitive knowing has assisted many, emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Now, if you don't know much about her, she is featured on the cover of the 2016 United States Best, Most Honest, and Most Popular Psychic Mediums and Light Workers. She's got some good background. Ginny, I'm going to bring you in here to read my soul. No, I'm not. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me on.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Our pleasure. And, you're from Teika au Maui, which is the North Island, which you didn't know because you're actually from the UK. But
That's right.
I want to thank you on behalf of my listener. It's really nice to have somebody with your background coming in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Specifically with what's been going on lately. But before we get into that, can you when did the door open for you? When did that light come on in your life?
Okay, well, when I'm asked this question, it always makes me think back, and when I think about this, I actually realise that ever since I can remember, I've sensed energy, I've sensed things. I couldn't actually see, but I always sensed things. You know, when I was a kid, I can remember being around about 7 or 8, and I was probably a nightmare to my parents because I was probably waking them up most nights because I could feel and sense someone or something in my room. And now when I look back at that time, we actually lived on a chicken farm in the Midlands of the UK. And in the war, it was an old airfield, and it was used by the Americans and the British to take off, to go obviously over to Europe and do what they needed to do. But now when I think back into what I know now, I realise that there would have been a lot of spirit activity there, of people coming back wounded and all sorts of other things. And back in those times, that would have been a huge impression on those spirit people that would have got trapped on the land there. And, you know, even when we moved down to Dorset, when I was about a little bit old, I was probably about 9-ish, that down there was lots of manor houses, and we lived right next door to a huge manor house, which is actually now an agricultural college. And that was my playground when I was a kid. And I can remember walking in the gardens and seeing in my mind a lady in a long gown with an umbrella and her hair all done up and a hat on and everything, walking just behind me. She had no idea of me, I knew that, but I could sense her there. So I've always sensed spirit. At a certain age, I never understood what it was, not until I was older, and then I realised. And there was times as well when I was going through my teenage years that me and my friends used to go and go ghost hunting and drive off to some castle or an old abbey or something like that and see if we could spot or feel ghosts. We had a lot of fun, I can tell you.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I've always sensed. I was born like it.
I got a really weird question for you. What was the name of the airbase that you grew up next to?
I actually don't know, because I think it was a temporary airbase, literally for the war.
Yep.
Because when we lived on it, it was all overgrown fields.
What?
But it was right outside or near Stratford-upon-Avon.
Okay. Because it would have been really weird if it was Swanton Morley or Hartford Bridge, because those are the two air bases my dad was on. So kind of that weird connection. And there's a lot of New Zealanders on those air bases too, because those were the Commonwealth Conversion Forces. So my dad's bomber crew was New Zealanders, Australians, and Canadians.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway, I throw that out just for my own interest.
Yeah.
So do you have this ability, this sensitivity? Is it come from your mother's side, your dad's side, both sides?
Okay, it comes from both sides. I only found this out a few years ago, and that was because I was asking both my parents if there was anything way back in the family. My dad's, I think it was my dad's two aunties, used to go off to seances once a week, and it was known by the rest of the family as their spook night. So they were learning to be mediums or practicing mediums, I'm not sure which. And on my mum's side, one of her aunties actually used to read the tarot cards and get things right. Yeah. So it is on both sides of the family. Having said that, I don't think you need to be born with it. I think actually everyone can develop it. It's all about opening your sensitivities up and expanding your consciousness and your heart consciousness, and just literally being aware of what's going on around you. I think I spent a lot of time when I was a child on my own, So I used to use my imagination a lot and, play on my own and sense things. It's a bit like reading the energy that's around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I am trying to open that back up again. And it's baby steps. I'm actually taking courses in trying to do that. Now, you teach people how to open up too, don't you?
I do. I don't actually have proper classes, but when I do a session with either a healing session or one of the activations or even a reading, then, if they ask me or we get onto that subject about opening up, then I will guide them in what way I know, and I go by my own experiences, so I quite often will say how I did it. Mm-hmm. And really, because you get wrapped up in normal life at a certain age, I actually joined when I was about 21, I joined a closed circle, and I was in that for about probably about 6 weeks, but I think I was too young at the time. I wasn't, it wasn't right for me. So I left, and then I ended up having kids, and then you get wrapped up in the family thing, and your pathway goes a little bit of a different pathway along then, and you're too busy to focus really on your own stuff.
What's a closed circle?
A closed circle is a group of people that get together. There's normally one person that's in charge, and it's literally those same people that meet every week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and they do meditations, and they might do channeling, they might do mediumship, or just learn to try and open up. When it comes to opening up, I feel an important thing is actually using your imagination. It's your creative mind. If that's open, then you're more than likely going to allow your guides, if you like, to put impressions into your mind. So literally, it's about being open and being aware of everything about yourself. So what you're seeing in your mind, what you're feeling in your body, what you might be feeling on your skin, and then it's almost like little energy tentacles are going out from you and feeling what's going on around you as well at the same time, and being aware of it. It's hugely important.
Yeah, it's I'm kind of going through a course right now. I've been doing oracle cards for about 4 years now, but I'm still at that point where I'm not comfortable understanding the difference between, am I making this up in my head, or am I actually this information coming in? So I'm trying to focus better on it. I'm actually doing readings now without the cards, which is really different for me, because the cards, and this was told to me once that they were a crutch. I said, come on, don't tell me they're a crutch. I'm not used to them yet. I'm still not confident, but now I'm getting out of that. It's very, very interesting to take those steps through that, and it's the confidence and understanding the difference between, am I making this stuff up, or am I actually getting the information from somebody else? Because I don't see guides. I don't see anything. It's just like it's all coming into my head. And sometimes I'll be saying something and I won't know what I'm saying until afterwards. I'll ask them, I say, okay, I know I talked for a long time, but can you tell me what I missed little bits and pieces. I wasn't paying attention to what was coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It is interesting. Do you, in your mind, when you say you get it all coming into your mind, do you see pictures, or do you kind of hear it, or is it like a knowing?
It's like a knowing, and it's coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And that's weird.
So that could be a form of channeling, because your team, that's what I call them, your team, will be putting those impressions down into your mind and through you, and you're speaking it.
Yeah. And that's
that's fantastic.
I also, in my card readings, because I wasn't confident, I'd get some information and sometimes I'd kind of beat around the bush, and finally when I got it out, I kind of relaxed, and then I goosebumps all up and down my left side. Yes. And I go, okay, that means I should stop talking now.
You read it like that.
Which doesn't happen all the time, but it was those times I was a little bit confused on how to articulate the information I had, and I would keep saying it in different fashions until I got it, and I knew to shut up when I got the goosebumps, which I really should have had when I was a kid. What am I saying? I should have had it now. I'm constantly saying something and reaching out, trying to pull the words back in. Now, you teach Reiki. You actually do the intuitive tarot readings. I don't do tarot. It's way too complicated for me. I just do an oracle card with basically fractal images on it. Even if it had a picture, I get too focused on the picture. What is the abundance success quantum activation?
Well, that is something that Spirit directly gave me, and when it's almost like a download really of information. When I'm getting it, they kind of show me by imprinting images, knowings, sometimes I hear it, into my mind. And the abundance activation really, they showed me about expanding my consciousness out so far. And this is not just my brain consciousness. This is the connection of the consciousness of my brain to my heart and to my stomach, which is about your gut feelings. Connecting those all together and expanding it out so far, because you can go out as far as you actually want to with your energy body. That's what I call it. So it's literally consciousness, or your energy body, of your stomach, heart and brain, and you can take it out as far as you want to go. And I used to quite often anyway take myself out into space and look back at planet Earth, and because I like you, I went and learned lots of courses, and that's a great way to learn, and you take from each course what feels right for you, what sits with you. And I did a medical intuitive course, and that was literally about expanding your energy body and going wherever you want, so you can go right out into space. And the abundant success quantum activation is, I take with someone who I'm working with, I take them and I'm with them as we go, and I take them out into space, and we then do a set of kind of instructions where I take them round the planet and I connect them with humanity and the planet, and connect to a point where what they're hoping for, their abundance, what they're hoping for, actually connects with humanity. I don't have control of who it connects with. I just, their energy is actually then brought back into the earth, connecting with everything. And then they're bringing it, the instructions are to bring it back out, and then coming back down and bringing it back down into their auric field. So everything that they're hoping for, to bring it back down with them into the auric field. And once it's in your auric field, it's then in the process of coming about, if you like. And there's a whole lot of other things involved here, because everything happens in divine timing. It's not going to happen when you want it to happen. It actually happens when it's the right time, the right vibration, the right frequency, when everything lines up. And I've done it on people. Like I said, Spirit did it on me, and I use it all the time for what I want. I don't have to actually go right out around the planet anymore for myself. I just expand what I want out there, and it connects, and the right timing it comes. But I've had For some people that have had the activation done, it has taken, a few days or a few weeks or sometimes even a few months before things have happened. But I've also had other people, and it's obviously the right timing and the right vibration, where I've one person in particular I did this abundant activation on, and literally the next day his business got a lot busier, and that's what he was wanting. And he phoned me up about 4 days later and said to me, he was so excited, he said, "You never guess what, the next day I actually came into work and I had all these phone calls and now I'm really busy."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it works. Like I said, everything has to be lined up. Wow. Everybody's frequency has to be right for it to work immediately. Even stuff for myself doesn't work immediately, because I really do believe in divine timing. It'll happen at the right time.
Yeah. When it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. It's like what I have a show every second week with psychics. You could phone in and get a reading. And I swear, if those ones where you can't phone in or you missed it just wasn't your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it'll happen when it happens. You also do another thing called the light body quantum activation. That is interesting.
Yes.
Because one of the things I want to talk to you about is that is for the ascension into the fifth dimension and beyond. Now, I've been told this is my last incarnation in the fourth dimension, and my next incarnation will be in the fifth. But does your light body quantum activation actually prepare you for the fifth, or does it push you into the fifth?
Again, it's about timing and where your frequency is, but this is about light codes. This is about the light in your body, and you're raising your frequency up to the highest point that your body can handle. And all those things, along with other things as well, to do with your consciousness and everything else, once they're lined up, that's when you're going to ascend, or your light body. With the actual light body, I see, after doing the light body activation, I see the light codes in the body, and I see the light in every cell of the body, and it's almost like the body then is completely lit up. It literally is like a light body activation, and it's the breaking down, because it's quite complicated. The first part of it is a healing session of clearing out old beliefs, ancestral patterning, all sorts of different things, to try and get the body pristine and the cellular structure pristine. So it's about the DNA as well. And then once that's happened, then the light body activation actually takes place. And when I actually work with ETs as well, and it was them that actually showed me this and did this on me and showed me what to do on other people. And it's almost like, your chakra system?
Yeah.
The energy centers? Well, once the light body's been done, I see extra chakras on the body.
Oh, you see all the other ones? Like the legs and the cone above your head kind of thing? Or the circle? But
also other ones that are running alongside the normal chakras.
Amazing.
So it's like new ones appear.
You say this information was given to you by ETs. Could you describe which group, or do you know which group they were?
Well, I work with several different ET races, and this isn't like in the flesh. This is them putting impressions in my mind. I've had several visitors, and I was taught for a number of weeks by, I actually don't know where they were from. I didn't ask. I just knew that they were teaching me, and I'm eager to learn anything new, so I took it on board. And they had cone heads, and they were wearing sort of like a metallic grey uniform looking outfit thing with looked like square shoulders, a fairly long neck, and they were kind of grey in colour. I've also had and I've had confirmation of this as well. This was when they first started appearing to me, and this was a healer that came in, and I could see he was an aquatic-looking creature, big black eyes, and almost had skin a bit like a hippopotamus, or what you'd imagine a hippopotamus to have. And I've actually drawn him. And the lady I was working on at the time, because this was all new to me back then, he appeared and he was stood in the room, and I could see him in my mind's eye, and I could see him then walk around the lady that I was working on. And he didn't have to move his hands or put his hands on her or anything like that. Just in being there, you could feel the change in the energy, and I could feel that whether it's his energy or whether it was his consciousness, was actually working with her. And anyway, when she came, she was a healer as well. And when at the end of the session, she came round, she said, "Oh, there was an unusual visitor in here." And I said, "Yes, there was." And I said to her, "Explain who you saw." Anyway, she explained exactly who I saw. Wow. So she picked him up too. And he came in a few times, and now I haven't seen him for a long time now. But I've also seen very, very, very tall light beings that come in, and I feel they're the Palladians.
Are they kind of a bluish color?
No, these ones are very light. They're kind of Nordic looking, but they're very tall. They've got whitey blonde hair, human looking faces. But very, very tall and glowing, this really light, bright white light energy. Okay. Yeah, the blue ones are Syrians, I think.
Okay, I have 3, at least, a photograph taken of like an aura photograph, and there was things standing in behind me, and they were kind of tall, like about 7 feet tall. Kind of a bluish energy, and I was told those were ETs, and they were my guides.
Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting.
Cool.
I have a question from one of our chat rooms. Is it okay to offer to serve your protectors for human situations to help people? Now, I'm thinking what is meant by that is telling your guides, "Look, I will help. If you give me direction, I will be a human to help other people who are in need." Is it something to do that's okay?
I feel that's okay, as long as you know, as long as your intention
is pure.
When you even first contact is pure, and you're working within love and light. Yes, I don't see any harm in that. There might be other people that don't agree with me, but as long as you're working on the highest vibration of love and light, then I don't see any harm in that at all. I mean, I'm doing it already. My guides put impressions and of in my mind what to do on people when I'm doing a healing on them. Yeah. I actually go in now. I don't even do just Reiki. I don't know what I'm going to do on a client when I do a healing session right at the beginning. And we get started, I open all the channels up, and then literally I go with my guidance.
Okay.
Yeah.
This gentleman, he's a friend of mine and does paranormal investigations, and he's very sensitive to children. In fact, he manifests, he asked to be helped, and my understanding through a psychic friend of ours, a little boy came in to help him, like a turn of the century Dutch boy is with him to help him bring children to him for him to protect.
That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome work. Yeah. Yeah,
he's a very, very, very cool guy. I'm afraid. I was always afraid to this. Talking back about the light body quantum activation. Now, for those of you out there, if you want to see some of the things that Ginny is involved in, you can go to her website at www.abundant-success.com. Again, that's abundant-success.com. If you are following us on the Facebook chat room at SOR Space Travelers, I've posted it there, as well as on the Spreaker chat room if you want to give it a click and follow along with me. But going back to the light body quantum activation, it kind of scares me because I don't want to be completely prepared for the next step.
No.
Because I don't want to get, something fall on my head. Okay, I'm ready to go. Here I am. Thump. Oh, crap. I should have waited.
Yeah, well, you know what? Your body and your whole being is so intelligent that it would only allow you to go as far as what you could go at that time anyway, I feel. But what it does do is really raise your vibration, your frequency. So in that way, it does give you a bump forward, if you like, or a bump up. And then it also expands your consciousness more. Mm-hmm. But I don't think, your body's so intelligent and your whole being is so intelligent that, it's in charge really of how far you go. And so's your consciousness, your soul, and everything else.
And as far as universal knowledge goes, and the energy, the source energy, it would know that I was doing this before I was even doing it.
Yes, that's right.
So,
yes.
Of course, if it was one of those things that was bad for me, that, okay, if you do this, you are going to die, or you are going to move on, I probably wouldn't be put in a position to do it.
No, you wouldn't. You would be stopped.
Yeah, I would be going a different direction. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's very interesting when we start dealing with that. There is a plan, and I always look at it as our guides are those little bumpers on the children's bowling lane as we're working our way down, bouncing back and forth, and they're just slapping you back into the middle. And each of our lives, maybe the first incarnation, we were back and forth and bam, bam, bam. And now as we get closer, it's a little bit easier to go down the middle. We've been smacked around enough. And here's the paranormal investigator in me coming out. You actually do clearings and blessings. If someone's got a residual spirit activity in a home. Do you get a lot of that work where you are?
Yes, a fair amount. I absolutely love doing that because then I get to go out and go on a road trip because we can do it distantly, but we often go actually on site.
Yeah.
And I always do this with a friend because it's better two of you.
Yes.
You never quite know what you're going to come across. We do quite a lot of clearings. We've had numerous amount of different types of spirit that we've cleared over, and also, because I can see spirit's frequency and I can tell if they are human or were if in physical human form. And then there are occasionally we come across something that I know wasn't human. Some people would think that's demons. I actually don't believe in demons. To me, that is a strong possibility, or my feeling is that they are earthbound, perhaps ETs that have fallen off the wagon, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And that their frequency is different. So I know that they are not or were not human when they were in physical form. And like everything, when you do these clearings, it's all done with love. And those spirit people or those spirit ETs actually need to go back to where they're from. So obviously with spirit human form, it would be to the spirit world. And they need to be loved and understood and realise that, they're not going to be judged in any way. So it's a form of healing for those stuck spirit people. And we send them and guide them over to the light. It's actually a wonderful experience. And we do come across many that are very angry, upset, frightened to go over, and we have to talk to them, and sometimes they try and stop us from even getting to the house. Because they're in energy form, their consciousness, if you like, or their energy can try and put impressions in our minds. Like one time we were going to go and do a clearing in this house in the centre of Auckland, and on the way there, my friend Davina, she lives up north, so she's coming down from North Auckland and I'm coming from Southeast Auckland. And in the car on the way there, I was getting the impression put in my mind, and luckily I know that it's not my thoughts. So I got actually coming into my mind about driving into the central reservation, the concrete bit on the...
lovely.
And I knew it was from the spirit. They were trying to stop us from getting there because they were absolutely petrified and very, very angry. And when we actually did finally meet up, me and my friend Davina, she said the same thing, only she was seeing her car driving into a lorry that was overtaking her, coming down the motorway. So we knew that this spirit person did not want us there, and they were angry and upset and everything else. And then when of course we went in the house, we could see. At one point we had fists in our faces, and obviously they're not physical fists, but you see it in your mind's eye. You could see who was stood in front of you in your mind's eye. And with this particular case, we realised that when they were on the earthly plane, they did some really not very nice things, and they were scared to go over. So what we did was we called in all the Maori ancestors to come in and help us, and of course all of our other guides were with us anyway. And then this person went up into the light, and as soon as they went, the whole light in the room lit up, the sun shone through the windows, and the energy cleared immediately. And after that, a couple of days later, I could actually feel that person feeling extremely happy and grateful that we'd actually gone to help him over. It's like he came back to thank us almost.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic.
It's all done with love, and these people need help. They're frightened. They're very frightened, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And they can be attached to people as well, not just buildings.
How do they, when you say attached to people, they just follow a person around? They're not like physically inside of them, right?
No, they're not inside of them, but what they can do is, because they're energy form, they can attach to somebody's energy field.
Mm-hmm. And they're plugged into it. Like if you're an empathic person or an empath, very high vibration person, one of these low vibration entities or beings or energies can kind of nuzzle up against your energy and use you.
They can, and I mean, I don't fully understand it totally because I'm still learning myself as I'm going through life. But what I feel is that if you're stood in your power and you're radiating out this power, and it's strong and it's really light, a lot of the time they're not going to come near you anyway, because that would frighten them perhaps. But if you're still, you're radiating out this light, but you're perhaps not actually fully in your own power, then there might be circumstances where they could come and attach themselves. Look, I've had attachments myself, and if after a while you start finding that your personality starts changing a bit, or you find that you're frustrated and angry when normally you're a really happy, light, easygoing person, and so you start to change slightly, and it can be a slow, gradual process, then that is a possibility. I'm not saying it is for sure on everyone, but it's a possibility that there could be someone draining you. Like, and other people they just feel really, really tired. And quite often when I get someone come for a healing, that's the first thing I do is check out to see if they've got anyone with them. And quite often, because the spirit person, if they're attached to you, can also stop your chakras from working properly. And it's not every chakra. It can be the one they might be attached or hooked into. So I check out the chakras. If the chakras aren't working, then I immediately check out to see if there's a visitor. That's what I call them, visitors. And if there's a visitor, I will clear them. And then immediately then, normally the chakras are working as soon as the visitor's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things it piqued my interest when you were talking specifically about the entity that you were going to clear out knew that you were coming and was sending this information out. And it had been my belief up to this point that if you had not crossed over, you had no way of knowing. You had no way to tap into the universal knowledge. If you had crossed over and done your, go to school, and then when you come back, you've got basically your judgments. You have no judgment. Your love and light. You now have the access to universal knowledge, and it's all peace and love. But those ones that on the other side of the veil that are just kind of stuck there, you're saying that they actually can tap into the knowledge and know that you're coming and know who's coming?
I believe they can, because they're energy, they can travel through the energy field, like when I say that I can take my consciousness right out to the universe if I want.
Yeah.
Well, they can do that with their energy, their consciousness, in energy form through what I call the quantum field. And that's the energy field that's all around us.
Okay.
And we can tap into that at any time, and I believe spirit that have passed and spirit that are here can as well.
Oh.
But everyone's got their own beliefs. I mean, that's only my belief. There might be, it doesn't mean to say what I believe is right. That's only my experiences that I've had and what my feeling is. Yeah.
And that's, in this field, that's what we have to go on. It's like we always say, how many pictures of a ghost do you have to take before you can prove they exist? Well, it's only one, but it's everybody's opinion on that one photograph.
Yes.
In your case, you can say, this is what I've experienced.
Yeah.
And of course, you get 1,000 people out there saying you're nuts. And you just have to say, look, you don't have to believe what I'm saying. This was my experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the stuff that you actually provide for people, and again, I'm on your website, the abundant-success.com, and you have a lot of light body quantum activation, third eye quantum activation, open the heart quantum, light in body, third eye, light coding. And you were saying that a number of these were basically downloads.
Yes.
Or you were taught.
Yeah. Spirit use my imagination, or my guides. They use my imagination. They show me pictures, and then I get knowings. And then sometimes I hear, and sometimes I can't make out whether I'm actually hearing or whether it's a knowing. It's a bit hard to describe, really.
Yeah.
But I do get a lot of pictures. They show me things, and then my imagination and my consciousness then starts to really expand, and then I see a lot more.
Okay. That's that's very interesting. I got a question for you. Have you ever died?
I have not ever actually died. I've come close a couple of times.
Friends of mine who are psychics, a good number of them have died. Numerous times, actually. A couple of them have died more than once in this life, which is really odd to say that they have died more than once in this life.
Yes.
But we're having a great time dying and coming back. One actually knows when she's going to die. It's like just
really?
Just before it happens, she's going, oh, right, this is it. But she also knows she's not going to, stay dead for a long time. I think she's died 7 times so far.
Well, what she died of each time? Is it something different each time?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Once she fell off a horse, it was car accidents. During surgery or something. It's fascinating. Marianne Morgan is her name, and she was the psychic for the Reagan family, Ronald and Nancy Reagan, but and a lot of other celebrities and stuff, and helps find missing people. But my gosh, she's also the one who said, "Hey, James, would you like to know when and how you're going to die?" No, I don't.
No, I don't want to know
please,
that either.
I don't want to know. And it's funny because when she does a reading for you, it's she'll do one reading that'll go about 10 years. And my luck, I'd say, I don't want to know when I'm going to die, and my reading would only go up to like next Wednesday. Damn. We're saving up a lot of really good stuff for the next hour, but I did want to kind of go over your background on some of the stuff you've done. And you were saying that you don't believe in demons. I'm with you.
No.
Don't. I think, like you say, those lost souls, those spirits, that energy can influence our brains, and we can see things that would scare us. And they love getting our energy up, especially the ones that tap into it. And they use those to scare us away, or to make us do things, like threaten us to do whatever. But the demon side of things, it's kind of odd. What is your belief? Now, we just had Elizabeth Anglin was on, and in the last few minutes of her show, she was talking about fairies. What is your experience with beings that are on Earth, like elementals and fairies and Bigfoot and things like that? Have you ever run, or can you see the non-human, non-ET energies?
I do see a lot of things, and I have seen a lot of things, and some I don't know what they are. I mean, I actually see often, and I have been for weeks now, blue orbs, and they can appear here where I live. I might be visiting a friend, I might see them next to people. Blue orbs, I'm not sure. I know that they are energy forms, not sure who they are really. I kind of feel like they could be like ET, like your blue friends. Mm-hmm. But I'm seeing them as energy form balls, like as energy. I remember sitting on a beach local to here. This happened last year actually, and I just looked back, and as I looked back again out to sea, I saw all these sparks of light come around me, and I was with my husband and my daughter at the time, and I said, "Oh my God, look at this!" And they were literally all around me, like little tiny sparks of light. And I knew they were something, and I really wasn't sure what. But I said to my husband, "Can you see this?" And they were going, "No, we can't see anything." And I'm literally seeing these little tiny sparks, and they kind of came past me. And then right in front of me, one by one, as they were moving forward, they vanished. Now, I thought, to me, that was an earth-type spirit of some sort, or several of them, little ones. And when I discussed this with someone else, he said that would have been the fairy folk. So I didn't know actually what they were. There certainly was no horrible feeling about them. In fact, it was absolutely a gorgeous feeling, a fun feeling, a joyous kind of feeling. but I saw them as energy, so like little light sparks, really. So I didn't actually see them as fairies, but that's what this person I was speaking to said. He's had the same, and he felt they were fairies.
Oh, okay.
But I do know other people that actually do see fairies.
I see.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah.
Okay. Another question before we take our break here. What is your opinion or belief in hell?
I don't actually believe there is hell as people think that hell is. Yeah, I mean, it might exist, but I don't even go there. I don't even think about it. I don't even feel it or anything like that. My whole being is towards light, love, and even, like I said before, even the not very nice spirits or the angry spirits that we clear over, really all they need is love and understanding. And as soon as they get that from us and they release the fear that they hold, they go over, and I believe they go to the light no matter what they've done. I actually believe they judge themselves. They are shown their lives, and they judge themselves, and they won't be judged by anyone else. They will go into a healing, be surrounded by love, and be healed. That's what I believe happens to spirit.
When
it's someone's soul.
It's very interesting when you said we judge ourselves.
Yes.
Because I've heard that before.
Yeah.
I think there's a book called Interview with God, and it discusses basically, it says there's no hell, but there is the understanding that you have to admit. And a good friend of the show's Eugene Braxton, who had died and come back, but he remembered every step of the way, and he was shown all the things that he did wrong and had to admit it.
Yeah.
And he went through the feelings that his deeds left those people like. So he had all the feelings and the ripple effect that his negativity may have caused people, followed up by everything that he ever did good, and the ripple effect on how he made everybody feel good, at which time he got tapped on the shoulder and sent back. But there was... So, sorry, not your time. Got to go. But, the movie's going to be longer next time you get here. But that's interesting. Yeah. I've, just the conversation on hell itself, on a spiritual interview, that's 2 hours. So, I'm kind of with you, though. And on that note, it's our 7-minute break, the 7-minute stretch. Time to powder our nose, fill up the tea, the coffee, grab a beer. What the heck? We'll go. And we'll talk to you soon on the other side.
Thank you.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on 2 mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. 2 mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, News Director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where two members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month, where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small. You're bound to find what you're looking for. So join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Rivulet Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Tonight's edition of Spaced Out Weekend is brought to you by spacedoutradio.com, where you can now sign up to become a Space Traveler member. Now, for the final time tonight, here's Spaced Out Weekend's James Tyson.
Thank you, Dave. Welcome back, everybody, to Spaced Out Weekend, and my guest, Miss Ginny Jones, all the way down from under Auckland, New Zealand. And we're talking to her in the future. She is talking to us from tomorrow.
Yes.
So I was just wondering how the weather's going to be tomorrow. So it's a lovely summer day you have.
Yeah, well, here it's been windy and raining on and off, so it'll probably be similar to that tomorrow.
Okay. So basically the same is here in on the west coast, or the wet coast of Canada, just rain and wind. But that's why everything's green. We make everything green.
That's like New Zealand. Everything's lovely and green.
Yes. And you don't have all those weird things they have in Australia, where you could walk in the forest and anything you touch fall onto you, will either poison you, take an eye out, or cut a leg off, or eat you.
No, we're lucky here. We're very lucky. Yeah.
Yeah, those giant legless, the giant flightless birds from a million or so years ago, they wiped out all the other things. And just left the little kiwis. Just fuzzy. Yes. All right. We've saved this interesting side for the last hour. What I was interested in talking about, and I follow you on Facebook, and some of the conversations I was monitoring. I was doing surveillance on some of your conversations on Facebook, and the people that follow you and things. We're talking about earthquakes on the southern island in New Zealand, focused EMF rays, all sorts of things that I wasn't familiar with, and a lot of the questions were posed on what is happening right now and where do we think we're going. And when I wrote you first, I think I wrote you and asked you this, but a number of the psychics internationally, and really, internationally known psychics like yourself, they've been dealing with extraterrestrials coming in, like stepping in as a spirit guide. And for the last, some with my friend, only the last few months, others for the last 5 years. But more and more extraterrestrial activity is being mixed in with Uncle Fred's coming to tell you about where he dropped his ring behind the couch.
Yes,
what do you think's going on? Or in your conversations with your peer group, what the heck's going on?
Well, my understanding of, I'll call it the unseen world, but so I believe that our guides and our ET friends actually join together in some respects to watch over what's going on down here. Now, it's common sense for us as humans, knowing that how things have changed and the way the planet's going, we cannot survive if it keeps going like it is. And I believe that our ET friends are keeping a close watch on, albeit from a very far distance, because they don't need to some don't need to come here physically because they're so far advanced, they do everything by telepathy. I can never say that word properly, but you know which word I mean. And energy form. So I do believe they are watching what's happening here. I believe that they are also contacting and working with people like us more and more people that open up will also be worked with ETs. And I think that it's almost like the consciousness of the whole planet, in fact the whole universe, is changing. I mean, even the light codes and things like that that's coming to the planet now, the frequency of Earth is actually changing. So it's not just humanity that's changing. Earth is changing as well. And I think I feel that things are going to really expand in more ways that we can even comprehend as time goes by. And I believe if you look at all the old science fiction films, a lot of the technology and things that were on those films many, many moons ago when these things didn't exist actually exist now. And so if you look at the science fiction films that are around now, a lot of what is happening there will be out in the future. But with the ET stuff, I know that, to make it Hollywood and to make it, I suppose, enjoyable for a lot of people to see, it's all the ETs are not very nice and they're attacking everyone and want to take over people and all that. I don't believe that at all. It's like everything, there are good and bad amongst everybody. And I believe there are a lot of ET races out there that want to help humanity, and they certainly want to help the Earth, because the Earth actually is very special because of the amount of different life that's here. I think we're being watched. I have actually seen an ET with my eyes. I was being looked at once. This happened about 6 years ago.
I was going to say, what is he doing with your eyes?
Yeah.
I saw an ET with my eyes.
Yeah. I mean, normally I see them in my mind's eye, but I actually saw them with my physical eyes this time. And it was only one, and I was being watched. I know I was being watched. I felt the energy change in the house that I was in. It wasn't my house, it was someone else's. And the lights started flickering. And the people I was with did not believe in any of this sort of stuff. I was out having dinner with my friends, and they are non-believers. And I knew that the frequency in the room had changed, and then the lights started flickering like crazy, and I went down the hallway and the light down there was flickering, and my friend went, "Oh, the bulb must be going," and I knew it wasn't that. So anyway, I was looking out the window behind my friends, and I just for about 5 seconds saw a grey ET looking in at me. And I didn't feel scared or anything like that. I actually ended up drawing them because I'm an artist as well. And I drew them, and it was from that moment on, I knew I was being observed. I actually knew I was being watched. And from that moment on, I then started to have more thoughts, more consciousness and conscious thoughts about ET races and things like that. And then I suppose that's probably the very beginning of me actually experiencing like the healings, ETs coming in with the healing sessions that I was doing. But I also feel, I'm not sure if this has anything to do with it, but where I was born was in Wiltshire, or on the border of Wiltshire in the UK, and that's where all the crop circles and all that sort of stuff is, and near Stonehenge and all that. And I do believe in past lives, and I also believe that what we're in now is just a fragment of us, and that we are in many different dimensions as other fragments of us. And I do believe a lot of us humans are star seeds down here, so that means that once upon a time we probably lived an ET existence somewhere on another planet. That's only my own belief system. I do know that other people believe that too.
I had a reading not too long ago, and the psychic told me, and she actually drew a picture of what, quote unquote, I really look like, and it is an alien being. And that's the first time anyone ever said that to me. And then I went, and the psychic Joanna, who comes on my show, I said, "Okay, Joanna, this psychic said I'm actually an ET. What can you tell me about it?" And now Joanna's the one who's got Rob, her new ET spirit guide, who stepped through, which is causing her nothing but anxiety, really, because of all the information she's getting. She had said that, well, I'm getting an image that's standing in front of me now, and it's about 7 feet tall, blue, and long arms, and went through this whole thing, and I went, oh, great. So I really am this. So that would be kind of my family. That would be my star family, I guess, wouldn't it?
Yes. Yeah, that's what I feel, yeah.
And a friend of mine, Derek Faust, he started in the last year or two, or 3 or 4 years now, he's been seeing these blobby light shapes, and that's what he's been told. Those are his light beings. Those are his family coming back and kind of looking and saying hi, which I think is odd, because does that mean you're going to be going soon, or is this his last kick at the cat in this dimension before he goes on to the 5th?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be going soon. I actually feel they've probably come in to help him, so there's probably work for him to be doing down here. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I have. Yeah. Being told that this is my last incarnation before I go to the 5th. I don't know what to expect. I know. I shouldn't say I know this. I have been told that the 5th is our last incarnation with a body, and then the 6th and 7th are light
energy.
Light energy.
Well, that feels right to me.
Yeah.
Light energy. Yeah, or light codes, however you want to call it, really.
Yeah, blobs.
Yes.
Blobs
orbs,
of light.
Yeah.
Orbs. Yeah, exactly. Orbs.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That feels right, but I actually believe there's more than 5 dimensions. I think it goes on and on. It's energy. Yeah. Everything is energy, and energy is it doesn't end.
What is your belief that happens to us after this meat sack fails to function? What happens to our energy?
Well, it's funny because there's 2 ways of looking at it, which have got different names, but it could mean the same thing. But anyway, there's one way of looking at it from a spiritual point of view. If you look at it like that, it's your soul. It goes back to energy form, and it comes out of your body, and then you go to this place where you can experience whatever you like, whatever vibration you're on, whatever your conscious level is on, you can go and experience whatever you like. If you're a positive, uplifting, high vibration person, that's the sort of thing you will experience. If you're perhaps a lower vibration person, then you will experience a similar. And if you look at it from it's not even scientific, but perhaps a more scientific point of view, then if you think of planet Earth and the energy field that's around planet Earth, which is in different layers, then the souls from people, when they die, and animals, and anything else, become energy form and then go up into a certain layer that's around the planet, but can move backwards and forwards. Because I can go out with my camera and take pictures and pick up loads of orbs, and I know it's not insects because I bring it back in, I blow it up on my computer, and I can see that it's actually energy forms. And when I stand out there and do this, and I'm a bit crafty and I shouldn't do it really, because I feel that they don't like it a lot of the time, but I'll take pictures. The first picture, there'll be hundreds of orbs. And as I take more and more pictures, there'll be less and less and less orbs. They don't actually want to be photographed. And by the time at the end of it, and then I feel really bad because I really shouldn't do it, so I've stopped doing it now. But anyway, I feel they disperse because they don't want to be caught on camera, some of them. And so it's almost like there could be a layer of energy over the earth where our human family and friends collect up there, and then of course they can come back down. So it depends which way you look at it. You can look at it from the scientific kind of point of view, where there is an energy field that they all perhaps go in, that they can move backwards and forwards, or the spiritual, they go into heaven, or what people would call heaven, and they can experience their own form of bliss depending on where they are consciously.
Oh, okay.
So, but then I do believe also they can come back and visit us anytime they want. In fact, I know they can, because this is why mediums are able to tune in, and I've had my parents come back and visit me several times, and our dogs actually.
I was going to ask you about that, because we have the spirits on video of dogs at a local doggy daycare, where they have full spectrum cameras on at night in where the dogs are, and they're kind of playing around. They see the images of dogs that they know have passed.
That's awesome.
And so if you're saying that, like, when an animal dies, the energy goes up, is there a choice for that energy to go up? Again, free will.
It's a really difficult one, this, because, you know, they could be just literally all around us, but in a different dimension. And then on those moments when, you know, those dogs were picked up on camera, the dimensions momentarily opened up doorways to each other, and that's why they were seen on camera.
Okay. Because they're actually playing with the other dogs that they used to play with.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I've been to majorly haunted places in the UK where I have, not with my human eyes, but with my mind's eye, I've been walking down a corridor in this old manor house, and there's been a little girl skipping alongside me. And I've also seen, you know, and I did see them as what they would have looked like in their human form in this place in particular. And I saw a woman with a long crinoline dress on, very, very, very nicely dressed, holding the hands of a little boy. And then I saw this other male spirit, and I felt like he had a tall top hat on and a black coat and a suit and everything. And I've seen them. So in that place in particular, you know, these dimensional doorways were open. Okay. And we've had in the house that we used to live in, we've just moved, but the house that we used to live in, where I used to do all my spiritual work from, we were quite often getting things happening in the house with the electrics, the TV turning on and off by itself, all sorts of things going on, and that's spirit activity. But it never frightened any of us. It was just part and parcel of it. And every so often I used to have to check my own house out and then clear spirit over to the light.
Yeah, we had one of those in our basement. My daughter, it showed up because of my daughter, who's a very high empath. Yeah. And it was a kid that used to live here and was down in the basement. And we finally got him to move on. And I was told that he was very sad moving.
Yeah.
Came in with his head down and moved him up and on. Which is really cool, because we had no idea if it worked until another psychic said, "Oh, that thing in your basement, yeah, it went." And then Joanna said, "Oh, he didn't like to go, but he went."
Oh,
He had committed suicide a few miles away from here when he was in his early 20s. And was came back, and he was, my understanding was, he was mirroring, if I say that right, mirroring my daughter's age. As she would get older, he went back and kind of was at that same age as her, getting older.
Yeah.
And she had always been terrified to go into the basement. Ever since she was a kid, she wouldn't go down. And then she's good now; she'll go down. But
so she's very aware, then, isn't she? Very open and aware.
She's way higher than I am. Very, very, very high vibration. She has.
I think a lot of children are.
Yeah, and she's her sister's not as connected, but this one, hokey smokes, she's she still doesn't believe it. She believed it enough when a psychic said, "This is how to block people from taking your energy," and she was fine after that. She's sleeping well and the whole bit, but the whole voodoo thing, she says, well, if I believe, she's, your cranky mid-teen girl who doesn't believe in God because it's not cool. And and she said, well, if I believe in spirit guides, then I have to believe in a guardian angel. And if I believe in an angel, then I have to believe in God. And I don't believe in God. And instead of me getting an argument with her, two psychic friends, two independent ones said, "Oh, it's okay. She's got a year or two left, and she and a friend will hit it'll come to them both at the same time. So they're going to have a epiphany, or a truck will drop on them or something. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. But
no, but they will with maturity they'll realise.
On the Facebook page, you had one of your followers had pictures of New Zealand, and about the earthquakes and focused EMF rays that there was an indication is man-made and the government was doing experiments or something. Do you know much about that stuff, or?
I actually don't know much about that. I've only heard little bits, and I shared that post because as far as I'm aware, what I've been told, and I don't know whether this is correct, but there is some seismic beam. There's a ship going around New Zealand, and I think they're searching for places to do mining. But there's, I don't know whether it's some sort of seismic beam or something that's going through the land, looking for, I suppose, oil or something. Mm-hmm. But it's a ship that's going around New Zealand. But I don't know an awful lot about it, to be honest.
Oh, okay. So it's not it's not some government probe from trying to sink the island or something.
Yeah. I don't go into much of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, because somebody on there was also talking about the vapor trails that these planes allegedly flying all over the world, spraying things on people. And it seems to be quite popular in the United States. And I tell you, I can stand in the middle of a field in Canada and you won't see one of those trails forever because they don't fly over that part of the country or something. But I guess when you have a few thousand planes flying back and forth over your country every day and putting a contrail out, you can imagine all sorts of things, especially if you're standing there breathing all that in.
And to be honest, for all I know, it might be happening. I don't actually watch that sort of stuff, really.
Yeah, I don't know what. Anyway, I don't get much into the conspiracy stuff.
Yeah, me neither.
I honestly think you can't get 10 people to agree on one thing. So to have an entire hidden army doing things would be a little bit out there. But that's good because Dave Scott, who does a show Monday to Friday, he talks about that stuff. Yeah. And when we go for a beer, I shoot it all down. which frustrates him. I bring in reality, and he goes, "Don't do that. What do you mean talking sense?"
Yeah.
I am curious, and again, as a paranormal investigator, and you are almost a paranormal investigator because you do go into houses looking for spirit activity.
Yes.
I wonder what and again, going back to what we talked about at the top of the hour, where are we going? And my theory is, okay, psychics for the last, as long as they've been around,
Yes.
They got the short end of the stick because I tell you, there's a lot of really fake ones out there. And, you go to your old country in the UK and you go down to Brighton and, probably 80% of the psychics down there are multi-generation psychics who've been ripping off people for the last, 80 years.
Yeah.
Are the ones in the fairs we see. They're, that's the image we get of them.
Yeah.
Saying things that we want to hear, doing cold readings on people. Now, in the last 20 years, it's becoming a little bit more mainstream. In the last 10 years, holy cow, with things like ghost hunting television shows and psychic TV and psychic detectives. We now know psychic detectives exist, and they help police and they help government find things. It's almost like, and I've said this before, but it's almost like we've got to a point where a certain percentage of the population of this planet agrees that there is something to this. There is life after death.
Yeah.
And it's become more spiritual. However you plug it into your own religion is up to you. But there is something there. Now, once we hit that threshold of whatever percentage, now we've been offered the ET communication. Yes. And in 10 years of this, are we being softened up for the next, okay, we believe in life after death. Now, do we believe in ETs? And we get to a certain percentage of the Earth believing in it, they're not going to be scared out of their pants when, Larry shows up on the White House lawn or they, comes down in Disneyland or something. It's, or during the Olympics, or the Pope is seen flying around on a really cool little spaceship. Is it, I'm wondering if that's what's going on. What is your take on something like that?
Yeah, I can go with that, definitely. More and more people are being, I don't know what the right word is. Well, certainly more and more people are waking up to new experiences, new ways of being, new technologies, new energy forms, all that sort of stuff is all definitely being seeped through films and, like you said, shows about mediums and ETs and contact and all sorts of other stuff. It's what people are interested in. There's a lot of people out there that are actually really interested in that. And what I've found through my experiences, a lot of the people that don't believe in it or say they don't believe in it are actually just really, really fearful of it.
Yeah.
Because they don't understand it.
It is the fear of the unknown, and it's outside their comfort level.
Yeah. So they'd rather say it's a load of rubbish and all that other stuff, rather than face the fear and think, well, because it's just too fearful for them, and it's so fearful, a lot of them can't even comprehend it. And for me personally, for someone to think that we could possibly be the only life on planets is
arrogant.
It's absolutely. Yeah. It's just not. You can't think like that. We can't be the only life.
Oh, I think. Did they come up with a new number of how many inhabitable planets could be out there? Was it trillions?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's some even close in there, that, like Saturn, some of Saturn's moons in there that they think that could be habitable.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, there's a lot, but I do feel that people are becoming more open and more aware of it, and because we're seeing more of it on the TV and shows and things like that, the fear is being dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, you look at television shows back in the 60s, you've got Star Trek with a multi-race crew on a spaceship traveling around. Gene Roddenberry was always said to be a contactee, an ET contactee. And I asked my friend through her what I believe is, and because I believe her because she told me, and I have no other information to say she's wrong, and she's been overly accurate to me as around me anyways, as a psychic and on our show. She said, I asked, well, is Gene Roddenberry, was he actually a contactee? And her spirit guide, Rob, said, well, yeah, he's not only been he wasn't not only a contactee, but he'd actually been on extraterrestrial ships. So it's kind of, was it far-fetched? Back in 1960s, my gosh, that was science fiction at its best. But is it really fiction? Was it the baby steps to look what Star Trek spawned into science fiction? From Star Trek, we get into all these wonderful books and films, and yes, ETs are bad, and some of them ETs are good.
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
We have films where they have the little gray ones, exactly like people say. I've seen one, and that's what they look like. You remember that one in that movie, such and such? Well, that's what I saw. And you're thinking, well, how did the people who made that movie knew that?
Yes.
What is it they're getting? Are they think they're making this stuff up? Are they getting downloaded? Are these drawings that they're doing, are they channeled? Who knows?
Absolutely, I totally agree with you. Yeah,
when you do your art, have you ever channeled anything you've drawn that you're aware of?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can tune into people's guides and draw them. I can also. Have you seen the lion painting that I've done? I'm not sure if that's on my website. I don't think it is.
Oh, okay. I was going to say I'll go look at it there, but
no, I don't think it's on there. It used to be on there, but I've taken it down. I've actually still got that painting because actually that was channeled through spirit, but it was a combination of spirit and my higher self, and it was all about strength and courage. And when I was actually painting that, I could not stop. I actually had to finish the whole thing. It took me several hours to do it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but when the kids came in from school, I had to say to them, you'll have to get your own dinner tonight. And when husband came in, I can't stop this. You'll have to just sort yourselves out. And I knew it was coming from spirit because the whole time that I was painting it, I was totally in the zone, tingling from head to foot. I just knew I could not stop. I had to finish it.
That reminds me of Richard Dreyfuss' character in Close Encounters when he was building he was just insane, smashing things, throwing plants in. He was just in the zone making this thing.
Yeah, it was
amazing.
like that, honestly. Yeah, but I had to finish that painting. And I've also done other paintings where I've been more relaxed, so to speak, but I knew I was channeling it. And that was more about energy and one painting I've got, which is the Spirit of the Sea, and it was a real flowy sort of abstract painting with sea creatures in it, and that just literally kind of came out of nowhere, but obviously it did because it was coming from, whether it was from the earth or spirit, but it was definitely coming through me, that one. Yeah, and there's been other times when I've drawn spirit that have passed over.
Oh.
Yeah, and I've actually had confirmation from people, but that doesn't happen all the time. It's It's almost like, that's not exactly what I am. I'm not a spirit artist. I actually feel, for myself personally, I can tap into lots of different things, and it does depend on literally at the time how spirit will use me to get a message across.
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool. You're familiar with the young American girl named Akiane Kramaric, who painted a...
yes.
I interviewed her, and
wow,
she channels those paintings.
They're fantastic.
Yeah, and she was told when she was quite young that she would eventually get to a point where she can't paint anymore.
Yeah.
So what it is the channeling is backing off, and she's now getting into poetry.
Fantastic.
So her painting is slowing down a bit, but when she was 8 years old, she would sit down like the Prince of Peace. That was just channeled.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, her work. Absolutely amazing.
When I interviewed her, I probably scared the heck out of her dad, who is kind of protection. He protects her and keeps her from getting too far out there. I asked her if she ever had any extraterrestrial contact, and then off she went, talking about light beings, and some of her paintings are actually from angles that you have to be out in space to look at.
Fantastic.
And she had a 10-hour loss of time when her parents called the police. They thought she'd been kidnapped, and she walked out of the bedroom, and her mom and the policeman were standing in the hallway, and so what's going on?
Wow.
And so I think her dad was pretty choked because he wasn't there to go, no, don't talk about aliens. But that's her whole life has been, she has had contact with what you and I and other people would call extraterrestrial beings.
Yes.
Even if it comes down to the person who introduced himself as Jesus to her.
Yeah.
To her, he was not from Earth. So therefore he's E.T.
Yeah.
So there's the debate. Are those that we take as the religious figures, Buddha, Jesus, Muhammad, Krishna, are they extraterrestrial, or were they ever actual human?
Well, that is something to think about, isn't it?
Yes, and something that we can't answer.
No, we can't. We absolutely can't answer that.
No, but we can make up really good stuff about it.
Yeah.
It could be the...
my belief in Jesus is that he was a most fantastic healer.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of feel that he did walk the earth as a human, and he was an absolutely fantastic healer, and the people followed him, and that's why the authorities didn't like it, because it was all about control in those days as well, of course.
Yeah.
Well, like it is now in some respects. That's my thoughts on him, and I believe that that was probably his last lifetime on Earth.
So that would have been a fifth dimensional type. Hey, could we be a fifth dimensional being in the fourth dimension?
Well, there's lots of people. I'm not sure about this because I've still got to learn more about this. But there's lots of people that believe that we will go into the fifth dimension without dying.
Oh, cool. Hey, hold on. Because I was told that Beethoven was a fifth dimensional being in the fourth dimension.
Yeah.
Because you got your deaf guy writing music mathematically.
Yes.
So, and probably Leonardo da Vinci, somebody like that.
Yes.
Wow.
And what's that scientist's name?
God. The guy in the wheelchair?
No, the one with the fuzzy hair. I can't remember.
Oh, Einstein.
Yes, Einstein. He was before his time. If you look at some of the things he spoke about.
Yeah.
And if you look at John Lennon,
yes,
his songs were actually way before their time, really. Peace on Earth and all that stuff.
And he did see ETs. He did see UFOs. Actually, he was standing out having a smoke on his balcony, and one kind of hovered in front of him.
Yeah.
And he darn near pooped himself.
Yeah.
Well, there was other artists too. One of the songs that Led Zeppelin put out was supposed to have been channeled.
Yeah.
From an ET.
Oh, yeah. See, I believe a lot of people channel things that are going to come about in the future without even realising it. Did you see that post on Facebook the other day about The Simpsons? One of their stories was about the president now actually reaching presidency.
Yes, I did. Was it life imitating art? But how many times do we see life imitating art?
Yes, that's right.
Was the art a prophecy?
That's right. Was that person who made up that story, was it his creative mind tapping into a future dimension?
Yeah. And the creative minds that would be working on who had been put into a job writing a movie, writing a TV series, writing books, authors, those are the kind of people that information would be funneled to. It would have been funneled to me.
Yeah. Well, you don't know. You just don't know it, because not only does it work in big ways like that turns out to be films or actually truth happening in a big way, but also it can happen on little scale.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it would be wasted on me. My confidence level would be a little on the shy side. I think this little podcast where Dave Scott dragged me into it has opened my eyes a lot. And I came at a point in my life where I was, I had a ton of questions. I was doing paranormal investigations, all this voodoo with reading cards. It was completely new to me, and I was walking around with just one big question mark. I didn't know anything. And to be able to talk to somebody like you and ask questions, not only for me to figure this stuff out, but on behalf of people, other people who might write in a question, and it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
and
it is. And you're doing such wonderful work to actually help enlighten people.
Yeah, and that's what I think we're supposed to be doing.
Yes, I totally agree. Yeah,
there's enough of these shows out there that make it a little bit easier for people to comfortably start believing this. We're pointing people in the direction of books and authors and people like you on a website who can teach and guide you through these things. Or if you have a question, goodness, it's 50 years ago, if we had a question, who would you ask? Well,
that's right.
Without fear of getting thrown into the loony bin.
Yeah, well, it was all going on, but behind the scenes and underground, wasn't it? Even like in the UK with all the seances and things like that were going on, they were all kind of quite hush, I think.
Yeah, there was a time in the 20s and 30s where it was like all the rage.
Yeah.
Ouija boards and seances, it was what you did on a Saturday night. You went over to your friend's house and you tried to talk to a dead person. And of course, you had the people scamming those.
Yeah.
You had people connecting stuff with strings and, parlor tricks.
Yeah,
you
absolutely
raised the chair with a knee and all that. And all you needed was one of those being exposed, and it turned everything else into just joke. It's a joke. It's fodder. So people like you who are sensitive would just withdraw back into, better keep my mouth shut and hide. But now you can come out. You can come out of the spiritual closet.
Yes, and that's amazing, because a lot of the kids that are coming through now are so switched on. And I'll tell you what I find is absolutely brilliant is that science is now starting to suss out dimensions and supersymmetry and theories, all to do with this sort of thing, and consciousness and the body and the cellular structure, the DNA and all that stuff. And a lot of it is coming into alignment with a lot of spiritual knowledge.
Yeah. And
it's fantastic.
A lot of this has been known by various governments around the world for a long time. Yeah. We've done Canada, India is one of the biggest ones for this, to do remote viewing. The UK, Canada, France, the Russians, big into remote viewing. The US government, up until somebody of quite religious person came in and found out, to the CIA, basically, and the military said, no, you're doing this. This is all hooked up with Satan. We don't want to do that. And they stopped remote viewing. That's what a friend of mine, Ginny Bergen, she actually worked for the government of the U.S. doing remote viewing and some other things. And they all got laid off because it went against the belief of somebody who took office or took over a specific section.
That's such a shame. Yeah.
And when she was working there, they actually found a submarine that had gone missing.
Wow.
And everyone on the board got saved. So it was one of those ones where no radio communication, no satellite back in the day was being able to pick it up, and they found it by remote viewing it. It's been known, but now just like we have GPS. The military had GPS years before it became something the public could have. Yeah. It was like now the military had a psychic. We had psychics working with them, and now that is something the public can have.
Yeah.
So
wow.
I wonder if the ETs have been working with the government for a long time, and soon that'll be something the public can have.
Yes. That wouldn't surprise me at all, that.
Yeah, but then what comes after that? Like, we've gone through the psychic, the spiritual world, life after death, ETs, and then the next thing.
Well, we'll be able to travel like ETs do.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I just got chills, Ginny, all down my left side, my face, right down my whole side.
Yeah. Well, there we are. There's your answer.
Uh-oh.
So the answer's in the body.
Like an ET. Yeah.
Yeah. We will actually be able to, we'll expand so much with our consciousness and our heart consciousness that we will be able to travel with our frequency or energy body to anywhere we want to go. So, you know, like when in Star Trek they teleport to somewhere else?
The teleporter, yeah.
But we'll be able to do that actually with our energy bodies, and just have our physical bodies here.
Cool. Well, you do that anyway, don't you?
Yes. But I can go up into the universe and turn around and look at the planet.
Do you have to take a sweater?
I've been up a little bit farther, yeah. And occasionally I've been shown, but I think I'm being taken there. Certainly one time I saw this. It has to be another planet with. I was up in a very, very tall building, and there was down below. And I looked out the window. There was crafts flying about. It was a bit like a scene out of one of the older science fiction films where they're in tall buildings and there's crafts flying below.
Yeah. Oh, Metropolis.
Yeah, yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, something like that. And I was shown that, and I'm sure that was my ET teacher at the time that took me there to show me a little bit about where she was from.
You know, I
still don't know her name.
These ET teachers must be really patient with us knuckle draggers down here.
Yes.
They're looking at us going, oh, just open your mind up. Pay attention.
Yeah.
It'd be like my music teacher when I was in school. But it's fascinating. You have what you do is absolutely wonderful. Again, yes, I have this medium to communicate people with, but the people that you touch, the seed that you plant when you come in contact with somebody, and to walk away and they'll take a course from you, they'll take maybe a workshop or something, and once you've planted that seed, to watch them open themselves up. It
is amazing.
Yeah. What a lovely gardener you are.
Thank you. I plant the seeds, you see, and then they take over and just fully blossom.
Okay, but remember, don't do everybody at once.
No.
Because then you'll have to leave. They'll be calling you home. Oh, goodness. Well, Ginny, I really want to thank you for dropping by, and I appreciate it. And if anyone wants to get a hold of her, take one of her classes, please go to abundant-success.com with Virginia Ginny Jones.
Thanks
again.
Very much. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I want you to know you can drop back anytime, because
thank you very much. That'll be awesome.
Been absolutely wonderful. And if anything new comes up, make sure you call me.
I will. If I get any new insights about anything new happening,
I will. Thanks, everybody, and keep an open mind.
Yeah.
It's our last goodbye. Young hearts will stop. Torn souls set free. All that we have is now. If this is what you want, then come to me.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. And hey! Let's be careful out there.
Far over the snow, what are those voices? They sing and they go. What are those voices? Look up for the mountain. Because somebody hide, somebody better hide on through the hill, like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. We are after you, dead or alive. We are out to get you, dead or alive. And forget yourself. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after now. On through the hill, like a pack of angry wolves on the trail. Dead or alive, we are out to get you, dead or alive. If you're the one, better run away. Son, you are done. Throw your gun away. Here come the Mounties to get the man they're after. No!
I see dead people.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Dave's not here!
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.